Hey guys, welcome to this Git workflow tutorial. So in this tutorial, we are going to try to understand the workflow we should follow by using Git. So before we start, there's an interesting story that I want to share with you guys. This is about how Git was made, basically. So we all know this guy, the inventor of Linus Torvalds. So while he was working on this open source project with a lot of developers from around the world, and this was back in 2005. So they were working on this open source project, a huge project, and the the tool that they were using for version control was something called as Bitkeeper, which wasn't satisfying all of their needs. It wasn't really what Linus liked, but he was stuck with it. So between this project, between the whole development of um, Linus took a break and he left everything and he started working on a completely new project. And he took 10 days. 10 days, he was only with his laptop coding away. And the thing that he completed or produced in those 10 days is what we now call as Git. And it's the backbone of all the tech projects around the world. And so basically, when you think of it, every commit, every push, every PR you raise goes back to those 10 days by Linus. And what a legend of a man, like the god of like modern technology. Um, so that was the story of how Git actually came into the picture, and it still gives me goosebumps. But those 10 days, wow. So now the way Linus created Git is it's very open-ended. By that I mean there's a lot of freedom in how you get to use Git, which might again kind of start creating chaos. Which is why globally people started coming up with structures or workflows that this is how we'll kind of try to use Git. So this is kind of the global conventions of how we should use Git. So Linus didn't have any conventions like this is how you should name your branches, this is how you should name your commits. This is something that got built with time. So that's kind of what we're going to understand during this tutorials, that what is the most common accepted workflow while you're using it. Of course, many companies might have their own um, mismatches here and there, but overall, in general, this is the most accepted workflow. So there are two workflows basically. One is the basic workflow that we're not going to talk about much. If you want to learn about it, it's in the documentation. That is the basic workflow. Just has you got a task, you created a new branch, you did your code, you pushed your code, you raised a PR, it got approved, it got merged. That's the basic workflow. And then there's the expert workflow. This expert workflow is something that we're here to learn, is something that we're here to make sure that we are at that expert level to follow the expert workflow. And that is something that I would expect all of us to understand and all of us to practice in real life. Um, because we are here to produce art, right? So let's produce good art. And in this tutorial, that's what we're going to try to understand the expert workflow and become legends in following or in using Git, something that was created by Legend 2. All right. Bye.